Great. Great. Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Very good. Okay, let's do a little bit of a loosening up. Just on your bounce. Great, we'll just go straight into the arms, just releasing up and down. And then he's soft. Just open out to the sides a little bit. Keep a little bit of a bounce in the knee. And just loosen up the arms, a little bit of a rotation. Yeah, just pressing out to the sides, reach the palms out, spread them away from each other. So think about spreading the fingers away from each other. A little bit of a feel of pulling the fingers towards the ears, to the head. And then from there, just keeping that tension in, rolling front and back, spiraling through the arm. Here, once for the forearm, just pinching the fingers together and then pointing towards the forearm, which you keep extended. And then just a few times pressing out, pinching in, pointing, releasing out, spreading. And then the same just with the palm face down, pinching up, pointing to the forearm again. And then spreading out. Pointing to the forearm, spreading out. Good. And then rotating palm side up, both sides, alternating, rolling the movement through the arm, looking to the far hand as you do it. And then just rolling up the elbows, release the shoulder. And change. And alternate it a little bit. Think about sort of a little bit winding the hip. And change direction. And just a little bit into the wrist. Change. And then just spreading the hands at the top. rolling underneath. And go into a rotation with the elbows. Very good. And come into the hips, nice big circles. Change direction. Nice bending the knees a little bit wide. And step into it. In a circle, very light. And change direction. Right. Good. Step out a little bit wider. Extending one leg. And just letting the hips settle into the center. Just loosen up hips a little bit. You can use your hands in the knees. If you want to go a bit lower, use the hands in the floor. Okay, just going back to lengthening the legs a little bit lower. You come into the center, pressing into the knees, then through the back, taking a rotation, looking over one shoulder. That's the center, looking over the other. And just follow your own pace with it. If you come up, just taking one leg back. Think about lengthening back leg, pressing the heel down. Switching it. Switching back, just take a little bit wider, back heel flat. Take the just that's well open up to the side. Good. And switching the leg. Good. Maybe shaking the wrist out a little bit. Together, rolling through. Change. Just taking the fingers over, gently back. Change. And nice and careful for the thumb, just drawing it towards the forearm. Slowly change. And just spreading the fingers out a little bit, fuse nice and slow. big movements. And if you're a little bit faster, shooting the fingertips out. And nice and slow, making fists closing and the fingers sealing with the thumb. And then if you're a little bit faster. And this one, just hold the fist nice and tight, and then just play with just loosen up the joint, especially the shoulder. Oh, got it. Where's that coming from? So we want to feel the fist is oh, and the shoulders are loose. Adrian, I think it's coming from you. I'm just going to mute. I don't know why. She's all right. But anyway, think about this, and then just think about mobilizing the joint, specifically the shoulder, but feel all the time you can keep the fist nice and tight, so there's full kind of feeling in the fist. Just feel you can loosen the shoulder, and then think about also loosening the elbow, and then just think about kind of winding them together. And then once you got that feeling in the arms, just think about the hips basically guiding the motion. So think about the hips releasing and just kind of guiding the arms. And then the next thing to play with that, just think about extending away and drawing back. So basically think about striking or pressing away. Again, keep a nice tight fist, feel that every part of the joint system is free to mobilize, but really feel you've got a nice tight grip. And again, it's just constantly drawing back to the fist, being full, strong, again, not compromising the rest of the joint system and being tight. Very good. Very nice. Perfect. That's nice. Oh, okie great. We're just look at the 3 foundation training poses. So just want to go into the basic one, so just into the founder. So find the kind of comfortable, a little bit wider than shoulder width. First of all, just think about hinging back. So we've been doing this a few times. Think about just hinging back and then just reaching out. Again, nothing too strenuous. Don't reach out too far. The main focus again is like the hips come back, hips initiate that movement, knees release with it. Squeeze the fingertips together at the front. So the kind of evenness in the hand. They got a big coconut in the hands. Squeezing that pressure into the fingertips. And the reason for that is also it's going to kind of really activate the arms, especially the underside of the arm, and get really underneath the shoulder with that position. So, and the next thing you should do, just play with the breath, so breathing in deep as you come out. And as you pull back to center, pull back to breath. So you're looking to basically make the torso big, spread the ribcage, you breathe in, open it up, and then breathing out. And the feeling of the breath out is a little bit like you're drawing the belly button past the pant line. So like pulling the belly button towards the spine, but towards the center. Breathe in big, breathe out big. Breathing big, coming into it. And then just a few more. Nice. Good. Nice. Very nice. Great. Just add one thing for it's just mainly for the feet. So try and show this from this position. Think about as you go back that you're going to really pull the toes out of the ground. So this will feel at first, especially like I'm going to fall over. So don't stretch as far out where you really feel that you are going to fall over, but just take it as you go back. You're just going to gently pull the toes out of the ground. Okay, so the feeling isn't to pull the ball of the foot out of the floor, but just the toes. So it's just to get the weight basically settling really into the foot and anchoring in. So what I don't want to do is basically cling into the toes as I go into this position. So just think about just gently pulling the toes off the ground, and really feel as you go into that position that those 3 points, the heel, the ball of the foot, and the base of the little toe, the outside edge of the foot, are really pressing into the ground as well. So those are really your 3 points of anchor in the foot, and those are going to really activate the arches in the foot. Specifically look at them, and the toe is just going to kind of help with that. Okay, good. Good. And then we're just going to go into a shortened form of the windmill. So just take that stance. You can go a little bit wider if you feel comfortable with it. Now, just think about being on the hips here. The thumbs are just going to be on the hips. Think about, again, the hips are going to drive it. But this time, rather than just going back, they're going to add a little bit of a rotation to it. So as you go down with this, just think about the opposite side hip and hand reaching down. Okay, so you'll feel, if you do this both sides, you'll feel this hip wants to initiate the motion. If I think about going into a rotation down, and the back hand or the opposite hand is just going to reach into the ground. One hip especially is going to kind of fire the motion. The opposite hand is going to reach down to the ground with it. Again, that same kind of feeling, the hips go back, the knees release, and the spine stays long. Arms stay active. Just a few that. And just take this as far as comfortable. Nothing too strenuous. That seems good. Good. Nice. Great. That's okay, perfect. Good. And then we're just going to go into one lunge position. So just find this position, quite a wide lunge, not too narrow. Think about the front, again, the front foot. If you just pull the toes up, you want to feel that all those 3 points of contact are really on the ground. And then the toes are just going to they're going to release into the ground, basically. The back foot, you want the base of the big toe and the outside edge of the little toe, basically in the ground. Heels off the ground. And then just think in this case, just hands on the hips, and just go into a little bit of a spiral rotation in. So you're just going to allow the body to pass into that front foot. Again, keeping the spine long, hands on the hips of this one. Then think about kind of a big torso, long, going in, reaching out. And you're just basically getting used to the weight, basically pressing into that front leg. That, about 10 or so. That's very good. No, that's so nice. Good. Nice. Great. Good. And then we're just saying, just on the other side, find the other foot. Again, find the foot in the front nice and full. Back foot, 2 points of contact. Hands on the hips, nice and long in the torso. And just getting used to that. Body coming up and over, rotated through the hip. Okay, we're going to do the same 3 poses. We're just going to include a bokken with them. So just take a bokken. Quick. Okay. The idea is just to use the bokken as an extra weight. Just give me a little bit of a focus. So the first one, the founder kind of position. I just want to position the sword in the middle and just find this position. So if I feel like I can balance the sword based on that kind of sphere of tension. Yeah. So I just need to basically find the midpoint of the bokken. So again, I'm not really doing anything with the bokken. And definitely not using it as a sword in this case, just a little bit of weight and just a little bit of a focus in the hands. Find that same kind of position, so a little bit wider than shoulder width. Feel the feet are really in the ground, and then just think again about hinging back, reaching out with the sword, and then pulling back to the body. So same exercise, put a little bit more weight, obviously in the hands. A little bit more of an issue of balance as well, but just keep the movement even. Reach out, pull back. Reach out. Pull back. Good. So again, hips release back, knees release with them. That's nice. Breathe, nice. Okay, good. Good. And then we're just going to change the hand position. What I want to do is take the bokken from underneath. You're going to go into this position. And then think in this case, the arms are kind of the elbows are wrapping around the back of the body. And then you're going to kind of squeeze them out forwards this way. So really think in this case about activating the lats underneath the shoulder. Squeeze out, you can have a little bit of a tight grip. Reach out, pull back. So the feeling of this is a little bit like the arms are going to kind of wrap, or the shoulders are going to wrap around the rib cage. So going to kind of breathe big into this one. You kind of open up the rib cage, open up the space between the two shoulders. Nice tight grip. Pull back. And again, breathing big into it. Draw back with the body. Good. Perfect. Very nice. Got it. Nice. Perfect. Okay, next one, look at the windmill one. So in this case, just play with one side first. You're going to take the bokken in the hand this way. You can take it either way, not really important where you take it, but just have it more like in this kind of angle. So the handle's this side. Now, the same position, think about the hip hinging down, and you're just going to reach the bokken towards the ground. So if you were comfortable with it, you could kind of take it towards the floor, kind of place it down, and then come back. Just stick with one side the first few, and then we'll do a switch. So it's going to reach down, and just the feeling placing out. Now, really important with this one, don't place it down like going in this way. So really, if there's a lot of pressure in the movement, just go a little bit further this way. But just think about, in that case, I'm placing it on a high table. But the key thing is don't prioritize the putting the bokken on the ground, basically. So the feeling is to really draw the bokken down to the ground, and again from the hip. So just do a few on each side. Just change. Raise this or down, but really feel again. It's like the hip, hand, basically led from the core of the body. That's it. Good. It's like a very, very, very artificially placing the bokken down towards the floor. But again, you're just looking for that same coordination of the body. Nice. Yeah. And then just play with switching. So you just basically go in one way, come back up, switch, place it down the other way, come up, switch, place it down the other way. Again, just notice now, especially all the activity in the arm starts to go into this kind of pattern. And I start to go like front loaded. So really think about the back all the time. And give yourself space, or give yourself permission to really come up to the top as well. Pause, change, go in. Come up to the top, pause, change, go into the hinge. So the key of all these are they're really hip hinges rather than body bending kind of exercises. Yeah, good, great. Last one. So we go to the lunge. You're just going to place in this case the bokken is going to be in the backhand this way, and you're just going to practice just in this case reaching out with it. So just through and then coming back, reaching out with it, through, coming back, reaching out with it, through, coming back. So again, same exercise. We didn't do the hand before, but that same hip movement, initiating the hip, rolling the weight into the front foot. In this case, reaching out, and then the priority is like the inside of the body. Initiate a movement, and then the reach out comes from that, and then you pull back from the core. So again, it's trying to prioritize the inside over the outside, or the center of the periphery. How you need to think about it. Yeah, you can do this out. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's it. And that's also good. Yeah, the other way you can do this, if you've got space, is like this. You basically really hold the sword like a sword, and you just basically pull the tip out and then pull it back. So just really think about the sword as an extension really of the arm, just lengthening out and then drawing back. But in that key to whichever one you do, and the sword's really being controlled from the center of the body. That's it, good, great. And then try to on the other side. So same, if you want to start in that position, if you feel really comfortable with it, weight's not really an issue. The main thing is also really listen to the knee. What you don't want to do in this position is kind of twist into the knee. This is a very easy position to kind of twist, rotate into the knee. You basically just want the knee to line up with the hip, with the toes, and not be affected by that spiral that's coming from the upper body. Just wants to absorb it. And then again, if you've got space, you can take the sword, like a tip out variation. Nice. Very good. Good. Last one we'll do is just to release back in that lunge position. Go to the other leg, just taking the bottom at the center, reaching right over. Just first find that vertical position, so it's just in front of the forehead, in terms of the vertical, not pulled too far back. And then think about just gently bending back. And then if that feels fine, just take it a little bit to the side. If that feels totally fine, just take it into a little bit of a rotation, not too far. And just take a couple of deep breaths, whichever position feels comfortable. Couple of deep breaths, reach up a little bit with the hands. Think about the spiral line from the hands to the, especially the back foot, the back heel, into the ground. Think about opening, gently pulling it. And then nice and slowly back. Switch the leg. And again, just find that position, reaching up just in front of the forehead. Little bit of a back bend. Feels fine, go to the side. That feels okay. Little bit of a spiral out. And again, just making nice, couple of deep breaths, filling the lungs. Expanding the torso. And the next out breath, just releasing back to center. Bring your feet together and just release out the shoulders a little bit. Release out if you feel any kind of tension. Just release it out. Maybe the legs, maybe the shoulders, neck. Great. So we'll just take it a little bit into the first root up. Just take your time with this. What I want to do is work from the 𝗏𝗡, doing that very subtle wedge. Come into the back, cutting in, and each time just pull back to 𝗏𝗡. So nice and focused. Finding the back, cutting in, drawing back to 𝗏𝗡. Finding the back, cutting in, pulling back to 𝗏𝗡. Now back. So just using that 𝗏𝗡 shape just in the, just after the cup. Good. Nice. So again, if I look kind of specifically at an issue which is like hip connection with this one, think about you've got also the reason to go from the wedged 𝗏𝗡 from this position, like this one. It's just an interesting moment as you pull the hip back and draw into the center line with the sword. So again, it's an easy movement to do with the arms like this, something like that. But try and feel that it's actually something that's going to come from the core of the body and it pulls the sword to the center. So if I'm working behind me and everything's kind of set up with the feet, that wedged position as I pull the leg back becomes this vertical position with the sword. Okay. The other one is as you cut, also coming back to that position. And again, I want to initiate it from the hip, from the core of the body, and come back to 𝗏𝗡. Very easy in a sense, again, to kind of release the arms and then pull the hip back. So just think about, again, those three movements, just coordinating everything from the hip. You've also got the initiation of the cut, but that one we're quite good at. So just think about the hip pulls to center, the hip presses away, and then the hip pulls back to neutral. And just kind of really let the sword, the arms follow that pattern of the hip. At least three movements, all guided from the hip, basically. There we go. Good. Very nice. That's very good. Now just do this really in two movements. So if you think about now finding the back and the cut is really one motion in the 𝗏𝗡. So this first one is really just one. We usually break it down to two, but think about now just pulling to the back, engaging into the cut. And then again, come back to 𝗏𝗡. Falling back, engaging into the cut. So I just want to feel that whole movement now is again hip guided from the core out into the tip of the weapon. From the core out into the tip of the weapon. And that's the same also for coming back into 𝗏𝗡. So it's got a really challenging position, and then just after it, you're just pulling back into center. And that's quite an easy position. If I just let the hip basically draw the arms back in. Yeah, good. 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 Very good. So now you're taking that kind of action of like one motion, and we're going to take it into Zengo. So again, this really should be one motion. Sometimes we break it down, but think about the rotation to the back, and the cut's really one motion. So rotate, raise, cut. Rotate, raise the sword, cut down. And just think again about one smooth, hip guided motion. Up and down into the cut. Raising up, cutting down. Good. So especially with this move, it's a nice feeling to play with. See basically how light you can make the bokken during the rotation. So what I don't feel is that the bokken is basically heavy in these positions. If it's heavy, it probably means also that I'm kind of gripping too tight in these positions. So that heaviness is going to come from a kind of stiffness in the arms. So think about in this case, you're engaged into the cut here. Obviously, the arms are engaged into the body. And then think about how much I can release that and then go into the second cut. And then how much can I release it and make the sword light through that motion. So you're doing a different, you want to basically a big contrast between the kind of heaviness in the cut, the grounded quality in the cut, and then the lightness in the rotation. And not lightness in the lower body, but lightness really in the sword, in the bokken. And I want to feel that the arms are unrestricted. So in that sense of light, in terms of being free to mobilize. And I want to feel in terms of weight of the sword, and a kind of lightness. And it's basically just a question of like, how light can I make it during the rotation? It's a really nice thing to kind of work with. So good. And at the opposite side of that, keep that feeling with the lightness, but think about how heavy you can make the cut now. So the danger of this is I start to kind of push down with it or drive down with the sword, but just think about, again, that lightness at the top, and then all the weight of the body is just going to kind of drop in to the feet. So light up and then dropping in. So again, it's, what I'm trying to really work on in a sense with this is like lightness and then really heaviness. Or you can think in terms of like, I want to mobilize the whole body, and then I want to really ground the body into the floor. I want to mobilize everything and ground the body. Mobilize and ground. But again, it's just to kind of go into the, how heavy can I make the body as it goes into the cut. And again, heavy not in terms of pushing down, but just in terms of letting the weight just drop into the feet, basically. There we go. There we go, there we go. Nice. There we go, great. Good. We're just going to make one change, which is to add a ski into it. So add a thrust, both sides. So if you think about basically number 6, in this case, you're cutting in and then thrusting through on the same side. And then again, switching over, cutting to the back, thrusting on the other side. Just a simple pattern. Keep the 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝗎𝑦 in this case, and then into the ski. Rolling over, 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝗎𝑦 here, and then into the ski. 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝗎𝑦 into the ski. Give it a try. Good. Good. Very good. Again, think about with this also like it's basically like how much of the ground I can bring with me into the ski. So the problem with the ski is because it's kind of rising motion in terms of this kind of motion. The tendency is at that moment I pull out of the ground, and then I've got to refine the ground basically. So think in this case of this stripe, think of how much this feeling of the ground can transfer straight into the ski. And I want to be no kind of transfer of weight up and away from the body. So think about being in the ground here. It's like you drive a track into the ground and then you just continue it forwards. Drive a kind of hole into the ground, drive into it and then bring it forwards. So it's like kind of plowing a field. Boom. Dropping the weight in, bringing it in. But yeah, I don't want to feel that the weight's basically going to be draining up. I want to feel the weight constantly down in the ground. See what you do. Okay. Give it a try. Hello. Let's see. Very good. Good. Nice. Great. Okay, great. So we'll make two changes now. We're going to change the cut from before that was a 𝘱𝘁𝗻 straight through the center line. You're going to arc it out a little bit more to the hip. So it's going to become a 𝘨𝘠𝘬𝗓. The first cut's the same, just coming here, and then you're just going to let it slightly arc down a little bit more. So what I really want to do is work the back here. And the key for this, or the reason for this is then to go into 7 to really start to arc over this way. So we're going to take it now to the step with the ski. So you're going to find the top and then just cut down into a wedge and then roll through into the ski. So working with 7, but in this case specifically going into a 𝘨𝘠𝘦𝘢. Normally, again, through the rotation, I'm going to work a 𝘱𝘁𝗻, but in this case, just work with a 𝘨𝘠𝘦 straight away. 𝘨𝘠𝘻𝗻 down, ski on the left. Rotate, 𝘨𝘠𝘻𝗻 down, ski on the left. Rotate, 𝘨𝘠𝘻𝗻 down, ski on the left. Give it a try. Okay, yeah. So there's always this distribution of like where I don't want to go and where I really don't want to go, and somewhere in the middle I want to kind of find that place. So the key with this one is what I said. You don't want to go now with the 𝘨𝘠𝘻 somewhere like this, like throwing the arms away from the body, and then the ski also like this, kind of throwing the arms outside the body. But in the same sense, the other side of that is I don't want to really stick to the center line directly, something like this. Something like this. This is just too tight, basically. So I want to give the arms freedom to work with the center, not directly stuck to it, and definitely not coming out of it. So there's always this kind of range of like I'm stuck on the center, but I really want to give the center freedom to work with the arms in this case. So think about this kind of position and this kind of position, but I want to feel that the arms are able to connect with the center, but not kind of stick to it. And again, definitely not come out to the center, something like that. So look for this kind of middle point where the arms have freedom to kind of roll around the core of the body, be affected by them, obviously, but again, not kind of splitting from them. That's the kind of main one to avoid. And if you feel you're in one side or the other, just try and work a little bit on the other side. So feel them a little bit tight, work with it being a little bit more open. If I feel too open, work with it being a little bit more tighter. That's yeah.
Michael, what I feel, especially with this heavier bokken, is that my left hand is really anchoring the bokken in my body.
Yeah.
And from that, I can move.
Yeah.
And I had the tendency to work with my right hand and to push.
Right, pushing up. Yeah. Yeah, this feels like guide, and also allowing that anchoring. That anchoring is really good. And then think about also like that anchor and also being able to mobilize as well. So actually, most of that movement's really the back of the hand, and then the front hand's really just there to just like guide it in, like just allow it to settle into place. And that really is like the main part is like the shoulder, because if I feel like I am pushing out with the right hand, I really feel it.
Yeah.
I really feel that arm starts kind of split away. So it's like I think it's where foundation training is really useful. Like being an extension, but being able to keep this full. And as soon as I feel that that's empty and pulling away, I really want to feel that I somehow want to kind of pull back into a little bit more into the body. But yeah, I think left hand as anchor is really, really useful. Okay, we'll look a little bit more of a challenging one. This is for Serena, as she said. So going to now, it's like a 𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘴. It's like a 𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘴. In this case, you're going to go out to the side. It's a little bit to the front, and it's a little bit to the right. Now, in this case, it's the blade edge of the sword is going to go out this way to that side, and the feeling of the body is basically to slice across. And then from here, you're going to go from the back leg, step underneath the weapon, turn, and cut down. You can do this with a 𝘱𝘠𝑚𝑎n or 𝑦okkomen. If you want to keep it simple, keep it as a 𝘱𝑚𝑎n, but you could also open this out. But the key thing is to get that slice in and then rotate underneath with the step and cut to the back. Okay. Just give that one a try. So it's only for the right side in this one. So it's a little bit of a slice out. I'll show it this way. A little bit of a slice out, and then a step through, and then a cut to the back. A little bit of a slice, a little bit to the front, a little bit to the side, and then you step through underneath the weapon, cut to the back. That's it. Yeah, very nice. Good. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so you can do lots of different things with the legs. None of these are wrong, but for this one, think about this. I go in, and I'm just going to take one step. So it's one step, one rotation, and then a cut. Yeah, but don't take two in this one. So don't take two steps and then find a cut. You could do that as a pattern, just not this one. So think about this coming out. One step in, rotate, turn, cut to the back. Okay. Slice out. One step in, turn, cut to the back. So it's the kind of simplest footwork I can do with a rotation. That's not just rotating back up, but with a step and then rotate. That's it. Okay. So one thing to do with this also for center control, it's very easy in this one for the arms to split from the body, something like this, and then separate from the rotation. So just play this, just one hand. In this case, just going to be the right hand, and then we're just talking about the left. Think about the right hand, just going to guide it. So I'm not looking for power in the weapon. I'm just looking to guide it from the core and into the cut this way. So you've got less power, obviously, with it, unless you train a lot with the right side. But just think about basically guiding it in. So no power with it, just looking at connection here from the core to the arm and then engaging in. Now I want to feel all the time that the sword's being driven from the core, working the movement from the inside out, basically. Inside out. And again, don't think about power, especially with the cut. Just think about kind of guiding it. So this is the job of the right hand, is just to basically guide and direct the sword. You're going to get most of the powers really in the left hand. In this case, just directing it. That's it, perfect. Good. Okay, and then we're going to challenge it. So you're going to do an extra move now, which is like this. This is the same. This is the same, and then this is not the same. You can add an extra rotation to it. So there's a spiral down now. So you go 1, 2, and then from here, rather than just cutting down, what I'm going to do is spiral the body in to the ground this way. So it's going to take the back leg specifically around, and then draw the sword down to the ground. Okay? You're in this position, you go out, you go in, and then you spiral the body down to the ground. Yeah, don't think too much about power, just connection. And this is a great one for the hip work, to just drop the sword down. And for taijutsu work, this really relates to 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘴. Totally to 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘦. Nice. You know, once you got that feeling like I'm actually connecting with, you could take this anywhere really. So just feel free to play with it a little bit. Nice, Catherine. Good. Good. Okay, yeah. This is one danger of this movement. Just watch this. Is that I go too far extended to earth, so something like this here. Yeah, and then the cut down is going to be very disjointed from the sword. So think about just the right amount of extension. You're starting to open up the extended hip. You're starting to open it up, and then drop the extension in. But the extension is going to come just at that point as I go into the ground. But it's not going to come at the raise, something like that. So just be careful of extending too far up during the raise. Think about just opening up that connection here, there. Now it's just the right kind of amount. This is too far. This is too tight. Just the right amount of extension from the head. And especially if you've got one hand on the sword, you've got all that weight in the hand. It's going to be really noticeable if I overextend and if I also kind of cramp and underextend. Good. Good weight. Okay, now just bring the back hand into it. So left hand's on the weapon. Same set with this one. Again, feel free to play with both. You've got this one coming through, cutting down, or the more challenging one is to come through, get this position, and then come down into a spiral this way. So that last one's a little bit bigger, obviously. It's going to challenge the ability to drive from the hip. You're also doing a really interesting change of direction. Cutting in, here in switching. And again, if you feel comfortable with it, just feel free to play with it a little bit, change the angles. So it's a similar thing to this watch. With the foundation, what I don't do is think about prioritizing drawing the sword to the ground, something like this, and like reaching in this way. So it's the same with this. What I don't want to do is like pull the sword to the ground, something like this. Think about it's like you're dropping the hip in there. So the body's actually really comfortable by the end of it. If I'm overstretching, it's something like this. If I want to feel that I'm actually in the ground, I'm able to just drop the weight, and in this case, just drop the weight. It's something like that. Okay, give it a try. But if you think about the stuff we did at the beginning, that kind of connection work, all that extra weight, again, it's just going to challenge the body's ability to find the ground each time. And especially you're doing a spiral rotation backwards, really complex for the body. Nice. Good. Nice. Nice. Last 30 seconds, so just play with this. It's just to be in Kamae and just going to move. So the key thing with this one is when you just move, you want to feel that again the inside of the body basically directs it. You can just use it as a little bit of a cool down. No extension away from the body, just in Kamae. And just play with just the feeling that you can motivate the tip of the weapon from the core, from the core, from the core. And if you've got a fly in the room, you can also play with it. Play with the connection. Good. And then just make this movement a little bit smaller. Just think about going back to a kind of still position and make the movement just a little bit more subtle. But again, the 𝑘𝑦𝗓𝗏 feeling of draining to the feet, hips, the pelvis are in place. Just thinking about giving a little bit of a subtle direction to the tip of the sword. Good. Very good. And we will stop right there. Great. Domo arigato gozaimasu. All right. Very good. Thank you very much.